second you see a lot of violence in a certain situation, this is the recipe for disaster, absolute disaster. And what I think might happen in these areas of the world where we have constant violence, you end up having generations of kids that are seeing all this violence. And if I was a young girl somewhere in a violent area, a 14-year-old, and I wanted to, find a mate, I'd find some tough guy, right, to protect me. Well, what the problem is, this tends to concentrate these genes. And now the boys and the girls get them. So I think after several generations, and there's the idea, we really have a tinderbox. So that was the idea. But then my mother said to me, I hear you've been going around talking about psychopathic killers. And you're talking as if you come from a normal family. I said, what the hell are you talking about? She then told me about her own family tree. Now, she blamed this on my father's side, of course. This was one of these cases because she has no violence in her background. But my father did. Well, she said there's good news and bad news. One of your cousins is Ezra Cornell, founded Cornell University. But the bad news is that your cousin's also Lizzie Borden. Now, I said, okay, so what? We have Lizzie. She goes, no, it gets worse. Read this book. And here's this Killed Strangely, and it's a historical book. And the first murder of a mother by a son was my great-great-great-great-grandfather. Okay, so that's the first case of matricide. And the book is very interesting because it's about the witch trials and how people thought back then. But it doesn't stop there. There were 7 more men on my father's side, starting then, Cornell's, that were all murderers. Okay? Now, this, gives one a little pause, because my father himself and my 3 uncles in World War II were all conscientious objectors. They're all pussycats. But every once in a while, Lizzie Borden, like 3 times a century, and we're kind of due. And so the moral of the story is, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, but more likely is this. And we had to take action. Now, our kids found out about it, and they all seem to be okay, but our grandkids are going to be kind of concerned here. So what we've done is I started to do PET scans of everybody in the family. And we started to do PET scans, EEGs, and genetic analysis to see where the bad news is. Now, the only person, it turns out, 1 son and 1 daughter, siblings, didn't get along, and their patterns are exactly the same. They have the same brain and the same EEG, and now they're as close as can be. But there's going to be bad news somewhere, and we don't know where it's going to pop up. So that's right there.